Hey friends, hello, happy Thursday. Hi, I'm Lisa Hetrick. Welcome to Craft Your Joy Live. Holy smokes, thank you so much for your patience. I know that I have moved this time several times and last week I had to move it. So if you're on my email list, you've gotten the updates, but there's been a lot going on and we're going to chat about it today as we make a card together. So I see people popping in, which is super exciting. So let's just do a quick hello to everybody. Hey, Dawn, Beth, Rhonda, Barbara, Gloria. Hey, Gloria, Denise, Pat, and Marita. Hello. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in today. I know that I moved this time around a few times, but I promise as we move into the fall, we're going to be a lot more consistent with the timelines. It's just been quite the summer. So today I have a really fun card project to share with you, and we're going to focus a bit on pattern making with our stamps and a little bit of watercolor techniques, a little bit of mixed media watercolor techniques. I've been asked several times. We talk about watercolor on this channel and we talk about different art supplies, but I've been asked a couple times about the Distress Watercolor Pencils, which I shared a bit of a tutorial when these first came out, but today I thought it would be fun to use them in a project and just kind of talk about them a little bit. So yeah, we're going to do that. And yeah, we're just going to have some fun today. So let's go ahead down to the down camera. Now, if you have questions along the way, don't hesitate to pop them in the chat. If my, the chat's over here, so if my gaze goes over there, that's why. But let's go ahead and move to our overhead cam. Hello. Okay, so it's been a minute, right? Let's go ahead and see if I can like pop my pic in here too. I might have nope, not that one. All right, I might not be able to pop my photo in of me because I probably forgot to set that up. So that's okay. Okay. Let's just check. I got a couple things going on. Like literally right before I went live, I ended up, something happened with the tech, which is always like the way. So today we're going to be using the Gina K, my latest release with Gina K called Everyday Amazing. And all of the links are down below in the description here on YouTube. Now this live is probably not streaming properly over on Facebook because of the change that I made. So, I'll have to go ahead and post it over there. But this is the stamp set that I'm using. I'm also going to be using some Ready Cut watercolor paper today. Strathmore Ready Cut watercolor. If you're familiar with my channel, you know that this is the watercolor paper I like to use for paper crafting projects. So I have a piece of that cut with the Master Layouts die. It's going to fit right here on the card base. This is an A2 card base with jelly bean green. Okay, so those are the pieces that I'm going to be using. My inks are linked down below as well in the description. We're using grass green. I think we're going to use innocent pink, but I think we're going to dupe out innocent pink for one of the Distress Watercolor Pencils. So that's probably going to happen. I'm going to use the Obsidian Amalgam for the sentiment, and I'm using cherry red for our card project. So here is the inspiration for the card project today. And what I want to talk about is creating patterns. Now, I have several tutorials on this channel about pattern design and using your stamps to create patterns. So we're just going to go over it today with a little bit of a twist. We're going to use a little bit of mixed media with this and use the Distress Watercolor Pencils to create it. We're just going to try something different today. So I'm going to focus a little bit on this particular product and some of the watercolor techniques that you can do with this one. But if you have watercolor pencils of any kind, or even like not distress. You can use your inks to do this technique. You can also do use Inktense blocks for this. But this particular watercolor pencil set is number 3. Set number 3. I'm gonna come in a little bit here. Set number 3, and we're gonna be using Candied Apple. We're gonna use Candied Apple. I kind of went back and forth between this Tattered Rose and this Candied Apple, but we're gonna use Candied Apple for this. And I wanted to experiment a little bit. So let's dive into the watercolor part of the technique before we start to dive in to the actual card making process and the pattern making process. I see more people popping in. Hello. Hello, everyone. Okay, friends, let's dive in, and I'm going to talk a little bit about these Distress Watercolor Pencils. So I kind of dig these pencils a lot. They're really nice. They feel, I'm going to grab a piece of scratch paper here. This is just my experiment page. They're really nice. They feel very like heavy in my hand, which is kind of nice. And I really kind of like the payout of color that you get from them. And the beautiful thing about the Distress line, as you probably know, is that there's inks, there's all different, like all the colors match. So that Candied Apple goes with the other Candied Apple versions, like of the inks and all the other products. So I really like that these pencils for some really interesting mixed media techniques. I think that they're really nice for watercoloring. The pigment load on these is very nice. It's not as intense as like the Albrecht Dürer like we worked with last week, but it shouldn't be, because the price point is like completely different, and this is really made for our paper crafting and hobby industry. So there we go. All right, Heidi said so glad she could catch this because she has a set and has not used it yet. Fantastic. Well, I kind of decided like at the last minute, hey, I'm going to use these Distress pencils because so many people had been asking about it. So here's how we're going to use it today. So here is the solid of the strawberry stamp, and we're going to wet the stamp. Now I'm holding the mist kind of far out so that we get a nice little mist of it. Good morning, Cindy. We get a nice little amount of water on here, but not too drenched. So I'm going to take this Candied Apple and I'm just coloring it right on to the stamp. And this is like probably my favorite way to use these pencils. I can get, so I'm kind of using it like a stamping ink, but I'm coloring it right on. And the other thing is I can kind of put in some texture, like I can color in some texture. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down so that everybody can see it. And this is a piece of watercolor paper. Okay, and I'm going to grab a brush real quick because I thought I had it with me, but I don't. So let's grab a quick brush. So what I really like about this is that we've got a lot of texture going, but I can take this water and I can do a little bit, get it to disperse a little bit more. So I like that textured look and feel that I can create. And look at those lines I scratched into the stamp. But if I want to do a little bit more of a smoothie blend, I can. So that those Distress pencils, whoops, a flower just fell off the wall. If I want to use those Distress pencils will reactivate. Like once it's been down here, you can see that I'm just adding a little bit of water and getting that color to disperse a little bit. Now that is, I wanted to talk a little bit about whenever you're doing this technique with any kind of watercolor pencil on your stamp, this is dry. And really what matters is getting the aqua kind of look to it, the water kind of look to it. What matters is how close you're holding your water. So I'm holding it kind of at a distance here, and I'm just giving that a little bit of a hit. But if I was a lot closer and I really saturated that, look at that. It's really going to make that color super watery. So watch, I'm going to go around the edges here and make it like, you can see how super, super watery it is. And then when I stamp that down, you get like a really, really watery kind of look, which is kind of nice. And see, I can move that around a little bit. So if I'm going for super, super watery, I'm coming closer. I am going to use my mister a little bit closer to the stamp. If I want something that's a little bit less watery and less smoothie blend, I'm coming out a little bit. So we're going to experiment with that when we do our pattern. I'm going to pull that out because look, you can really just kind of get super messy with this. Okay, Heidi just asked a quick question. Are these permanent when dry? No, these are not like in Inktense where it's ink and that they're permanent. They will fade a little bit over time because they're not light fast, but that doesn't matter for our card making projects. They will you can add more color to it. So you can see that it does, like watercolor, it does fade back a bit. So once this is dry, like this is dry right here, I could go in with my pencil and I could add a little bit more if I wanted to. It's still a little bit wet, but I could add a little bit more and just do a little bit of layering. Kind of digging that. So I kind of like the mixture of this and this for our pattern that we're going to create. So let's go ahead and dive in to create the pattern. All right, friends. Here is my, here, I'm going to pull this one in too, just to kind of show you like all of the different, like this was super dry. Like I barely had any water on my, barely any water on the stamp. This one had a lot of water, and you can see where the water just kind of pushed out. This had a medium amount of water. So there's lots of different ways that we could do this. And you know what, we're going to experiment because I didn't pre-make this ahead of time just to kind of see, but it really is going to be an experiment. So let's have some fun. Okay, I've got my water here. I've got a little brush. Let's go ahead. We're going to do a mixture here. I've got three. In the stamp set, there are three different strawberries. So we have a large, a medium, a large, a medium, and a small with our solid pieces. And then we have our line art pieces. So we're going to do a little bit of a wonky kind of pattern where we're doing our solids first, and then we're going to overstamp with our line art pieces to create a little bit more texture. We're just going to have some fun with this. So I'm going to start out with the large and going to just kind of create a pattern going down. And then I'm going to fill it in as we go. Okay? So let's go ahead with our water. We're going to have to do this a couple times. So I'm going to just start first with misting kind of far out. I'm using that candied apple. And you can see, oh, I got a little hair in there. There we go. Good times. That's what happens when you have long hair, right? So I'm also, see how I'm hitting the edges of the stamp a little bit? Just to kind of give it a little texture dimension. And then those little lines, see how I can just carve some lines in there? Let's have some fun with this and see what happens. All right, I'm going to stamp this up here. Just stamp that down and let it go. Ooh, I like it. Now I'm going to mist this again, and I'm kind of from a distance. I'm going to add some more color. Ooh, I definitely need a little more water. Let's hit it with a little bit more water. Now I like doing it this way versus misting the paper because I feel like I have a little bit more control. feel like I have a little bit more control. Let's pop a few dots in there and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to put one right here and just kind of stamp that down, see what we get. Oh, that's like super, super light, which is fine. I'm going to put a little bit of water over here. That candied apple is a little bit more on the pinky side, which I kind of like. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going in. I didn't really like those hard edges. So see how I'm just smoothing them out a little bit. So we have, I love those lines. It's adding a lot of extra fun texture, which is cool. All right, and we're going to do another one down here. I think so. We'll do 3. Let's just go ahead and mist this one with a little bit more water than I did before. So this technique is one of those techniques where you have to resist the urge to have a lot of control over your outcome, which I think is fine because we're experimenting with watercolor. This is pretty watery. See, lots of water. Okay, I'm going to kind of turn this way. Just see what we get. So see, that one was a little bit more watery, and I ended up with, I actually don't dislike that, but I'm just going to tap, tap, tap it out with a little bit of my brush here, just to kind of smooth that out a little bit. I'm kind of digging that. So we've got this watercolor look with the candied apple. Now we're going to go in for our pattern, and we're going to go in with our medium. Now you could do this, we're just doing this with watercolor today, but remember this technique is easily done, because here's our original idea, easily done with our inks and our 2-step stamping. Okay, all right, I'm going to go ahead in again. Here's my medium, just going to kind of spritz it over here, come out. Oh, I got it a little bit wetter than I would like it to be. So let's just pat that out, start over. Come out, misting it from a bit of a distance. And I'm going to come in, and you can see there's not a lot of water. I need to mist that again. I actually don't love that. We're going to mist that again and get a little bit more water going. Now you could also mix colors, and we'll experiment. Maybe we'll experiment with mixing colors. You can mix colors right on here. Kind of going around the edge here. This is one of those out of control kind of techniques. You really are just going to let yourself go, let yourself loose to play with this. All right, I'm going to come in right here because my pattern, remember, is coming up and around. So I'm going to come in right here and just kind of stamp that down. Hi, Sue. Yes, it's been a while since my last live, and I wanted to talk to everybody about that. Okay, I'm going to keep going down. I'm going to mist this a little bit and just go ahead and put in my ink, put my watercolor pencils. Okay, so the lives this summer, there's been a lot going on this summer. I upgraded my technology. Many of you have seen the flaws in my technology that has come about, but we're all kind of set right now. There's just been a lot going on. It's been a wild and woolly summer, and it's been pretty awesome. And now we're heading into the fall. I'm just going to stamp that down, and we've got that. See that little piece right there? I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it because look at all the texture that we're creating here, and I am loving it. Yeah, Sue, I read it wrong the first time when you said it. It was been a while since you've been to the live, but the lives have been over the last 3 weeks. I've had to move lives around because, and I had to move it yesterday, and here's why: we are renovating our basement, and that project is pretty much complete now, but every time I scheduled something to happen live with you all, like someone was showing up to pick something up or deliver something, and I had this sneaking suspicion that if I went live, they literally would show up at that moment, because you know, you get that window of time, and I would end up having to cut the live short. So I've had to move things around quite a bit. All right, I'm going to go ahead. I've got my pattern going here. And I'm going to go, I'm going to turn this a little bit. I think I want this going up and off the edge. I like that. Like it, like it, like it. Okay. So right now, this card kind of looks a little bit like a hot mess. Feels like a hot mess. You know, as we're moving down, but that's okay. We're creating this pattern that's going down the edge. And we are just starting the beginning parts of it. Now I've got the small strawberry. We're going to do the same technique, and I'm just going to fill in some of our smaller pieces. We've got 3 different groupings here, and as I put the smaller pieces into these 3 groupings, it's going to tie them together. Plus what we're going to do over top. Okay, so it's been a bit of a wild and woolly summer. With the lives, but it is my intention to get back to my weekly lives. But a couple things are happening. So with Gina K, we've got a new release coming the 22nd. It's a Tuesday. I believe it's the 22nd. I'm gonna go ahead and stamp this little one right up here. Ah, look at that. I love that. I'm loving that. Love that extra texture. And this new release that's coming out is the holiday release. And friends, this is my first time doing a full-on holiday stamp set. And I'm excited. I am super, super excited. I love this stamp set so much. I created it I turned it in last summer. So that's how it works. We work like 6 to 9 months ahead on things. And I'm just super excited. So I've known about it for so long. I just cannot wait for it to come out. So that's coming out. I've got a little one right here. Ah, Gloria, thank you. September 26th. It is September 26th. It's a Tuesday night. I don't know why I said September 22nd, which isn't even close to being right, but thank you so much. I love it. You guys are awesome. When I'm preparing for lives, I have so many things that I write down to make sure I say, and sometimes they don't always get said. I'm excited for the new stamp set release. I am. I'm really, really excited. All right, this has got a lot of water going. I added a lot more water to this. And let's go ahead and pop this little one down here, just so that we can continue that grouping down. Now, I'm kind of digging the way all of this looks. We've got this watercolor look. It's pretty controlled. I like the candied apple. I think it's really nice. Kind of digging the way that looks. Let's go ahead and pop it. Let's pop out just a smidge. Okay, loving that. All right. Ah, Cheryl just says, I'm excited to see your new stamp set. Me too. I can't wait till the sneaks start. They should be starting soon. Well, they'll start like a couple days before the 26th. But yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to be fun. My first time, like I said, ever doing a full-on holiday stamp set. I usually don't do holiday stamp sets. And the reason is because I like my stamp sets to be kind of more universal, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Oh, Heidi. Oh my gosh. Heidi, that's such a great question. I'm going to pop that up because that's a really good question. Do you have an all-time favorite stamp set that you have created? That is such a fantastic question. You know what? I don't know. That's a really, really good question. Every month when I come out with a new stamp set, I say, this is my favorite. This is my favorite stamp set. This is my favorite stamp set. I will say that I loved my Luna Moss stamp set. That inspired this tattoo that my daughter and I got together. I think that every stamp set that I create comes from a place of intention, like this really interesting place of creativity. But I'm going to have to think about that one. I would love to hear from everybody that's in the chat. Like, what is your all-time favorite stamp set? Sometimes when I look at my stamp sets, I'll see bits and pieces from different sets that are like my all-time favorite. And if I would take them all out of those sets and kind of put them in one, and they would be cohesive, like that would be kind of fun. So I would have to think about that. Gloria just said all of them. I'd love to know what you guys think. Heidi said, I think my favorite of yours is the Luna Moth. I know. I just love that one. I just love that one. That one's magical, mystical. I really, really like it. And the Luna has such a powerful meaning to me. So, okay. Now, we've got this pattern going. This kind of looks like these kind of look like stones almost. So we're going to bring it all together with overstamping with the line art version of the stamps that go with it. Now, with two-step stamping, I'm going to pull this in. There are lots of ways that you can do your two-step stamping. You stamp down your original image, and then you go right over top, and then you get that solid and that line art. But here's what I like to do that adds a lot more texture and dimension to your card project. We get a little bit wonky. So we know that this will fit over top, and then I'll turn it either to the left or the right, just a little bit, just to create that offset look. And what it ends up doing is when we build our pattern, we get more of an interesting pattern. So people are sharing. Dawn just said, you should pull out all of your favorites and create a new set. Dawn, that's such a fantastic idea. Sue said, the favorite of my stamps is the one with the bell globe and the moths. Oh, that's always delightful, is the bell globe. Oh my God, I love that one. We got to bring that one back out and do something with it. Fearless Joy, Bloom and Wild. Oh, I love that. Tony, that was Cherie. Tony just said, I love the wildflowers with the wagon wheel. Oh my gosh, I love that one too. I absolutely love that one. I guess I love them all. I think, like I said, I love them all when I'm in the thick of it. Like when they come out, I love being able to share them. Okay, we're going to get wonky now. We've got our shape here. Now I'm going to come in, and now I'm over stamping in that wonky way with cherry red. So here is how I do it. We've got it. We know that it's like lined up. Now I'm just going to turn it a little bit, either to my left or my right, and just get that offset look. So let's go ahead and ink up this one. And now I've got my overstamping, and then I'm just going to go ahead and turn it a little bit to get that offset look. Heidi just shared, I love the versatility. You can watercolor, make background color, use ink pads, and so much more. Yes! Love it. Oops, going to get a little wonky right here. Just kind of offset that. Oh, I'm digging the way this is looking. Digging the way this is looking. Now we're going to come in with, now cherry red, I will tell you, in the Gina K Cherry Red is very staining, but it is my absolute favorite red on the planet. So like it is nice. All right, we're going to come in with the medium, and I'm just going to do a little more offsetting. And then, oh, I got a little splooch. Let's just come in and get that off. Oh, Joy in the Ordinary, always delightful. I love that set. Cheryl, I love Joy in the Ordinary. It's got that charcuterie board in it that I love so much. Oh, wow. Oh, Whimsy and Wonder. Oh, Krista just shared Whimsy and Wonder was her favorite. She's in South Africa, and the protea flower is close to her heart. Yes, I love that flower. It's such a unique flower, and such a beautiful flower when you see it in a bouquet. The protea flower is just, it looks like a little spiky flower. It's really, really unique. Well, hey, Kathy. Kathy just popped in. All right, so now we're going to continue with our pattern and that offset approach. I've got the smaller line art version of the strawberry. Just going to go ahead and ink that up with the cherry red. And again, with the Wonky, turning it, getting that offset look. And again, this is creating that waterfall of strawberries, but just creating a little extra texture and dimension where the stamps are the star of the show. We've got that. I'm going to go a little wonky right here. Kathy Zilski's here. Hello, friend. I saw your email right before I went live, so I've got to answer that when I get back. So I'm going to get back into the groove. Kathy and I work together for scrapbooking cards today. We do some fun stuff, and we got some fun stuff coming up next year, which is exciting. Cheryl just shared, I just ordered Whimsy and Wonder from GKD. Can't wait. Oh, friends, I hope everybody knows by now that there's a brand new website for Gina K, and it is pretty awesome. It's really, really nice. So, we're really excited. Okay. Now, we've got everything in here. I've got the pattern going. And, here's our original inspiration for that. So you can see we've got that wonky kind of pattern going, happening down here. I kind of like this. It's got a real abstract look to it. We could just let it roll, but we're going to add more. We're going to come in with there's the 2 seed stamps in the Everyday Amazing set. We're going to add a little bit more of the seeds texture into the strawberries just to bring it all home, just to bring some sense to what we're looking at, okay? So right now, they just kind of look like little abstract blobs, maybe stones that we did with our little Distress watercolor. But now when we start to add the seeds into the mix, we get more of a sense of what it is that the stamp is. We've got that strawberry look. I'm going to pull in a little bit just to kind of show you some of the other things. At the beginning, we talked about, I did that little tutorial with the Distress Watercolor Pencils. One of the other things I want to share about these pencils is that, with the pigment, what I really think is kind of unique and nice and very similar to the Albrecht Dürers is that the pigment releases, and we've got that, you can see that little bit of granulation happening. I can't really tell. Hopefully I can kind of come in a little tighter and see. Oh, let me pull that down. I had it up a little bit high. You can see some of that granulation happening, which I think is really interesting about these, the Distress colors. I really dig it. And I like using them with the inks. All right, we're going to come in and add a little bit here. I'm going to flip that over. Add this here. Now we've got that. Look, I boogered that up right out of the gate. Oh boy, that's all right. We're going to embrace our inner messy today. And I could get that color out if I want to. I could even just take a little bit of water with a brush and just kind of make that go away as much as possible. There we go. Okay. Now I'm loving this. I'm loving the way this looks. I'm going to go ahead in and bring my card base. I'm going to bring my card base in and just kind of add this to the card base. So I'm using Jelly Bean Green. You know what? I'm not so worried about that. We're going to go in and add a little splatter too. Then I want to circle back because I have one more thing I want to share with the Distress Watercolor Pencils. Because last week we did watercolor pencils. We did the Albrecht Dürers, or it wasn't last week, it's the week before. And we talk about watercolor on this channel. Okay, I'm going to pop this down. Got a little bit of that Gina K Connect glue. So again, friends, it's been a wild and woolly summer. So my regularly scheduled programming is starting to get back on track. And look, I just boogered that up right there. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not so worried about it because we're going to use that distress and come back in. Now, I've got a little bit of the strawberry toppers. Now, I went ahead and stamped these out in grass green. And we're going to pop them down. We're just going to pop a few in between the big ones and the little ones and just see what we've got going here. And let them overlap a little bit to just kind of see what we got going here for our pattern. This card's coming together really quickly, and I'm digging that. We've got that watercolor look, but what I like to call is like a little bit of a controlled watercolor look. Hi, Vicki. This is her first time watching. Kathy. She says she's doing some crafting, and she thought she would listen to my dulcet tones. Aw, thank you, Kathy. I hope to be a little bit of a calming voice in your day, because I know how crazy things get. So we've got that going. Now I've got some little ones. Let's pop a little one. Just kind of popping these on wherever I feel like it. So let's pop one right here. Maybe pop one right up here. So I kind of like this loose and free pattern that we've got going. Trying a little bit of a different watercolor technique today. Technically my, let's see, what would happen if I put that here? Technically, yeah, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to put that right there. Technically, the stamp is kind of going in the opposite direction, but we're just going to go ahead and pop that right there and leave that be. Now, I'm going to bring in my sentiment. I've got this from one of the incentives, and I really like this So Very Happy For You sentiment. Hey, everybody. Popping in. All right, I've got some obsidian. Now, I'm going to freewheel it here. I'm free range stamping. I could bring my Misty out and do this, but I'm going to free range it a little bit and see what happens. I'm just going to pop this right into that negative space right there, and then bam, stamp that down. It's a little crooked. Now, to overcompensate, or not to overcompensate, to compensate the mess I've made here and here, I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that candy apple. Vicki just said, hoping Lisa's calming voice will soothe my baby granddaughter. Aww, that's so sweet. I hope it does soothe her too. Okay, I'm going to take a block, and I'm just going to wet this block a little bit. I could do it on my craft mat. I wanted you to be able to see. So I'm taking the candied apple watercolor pencil, and I'm just utilizing the water, putting it down onto this block, and I'm just getting my paint going, getting it nice and juicy. And I'm going to go ahead and get my brush wet. Maybe give this another little splatter. There's lots of different ways to do the splatter technique. This is the way I tend to do it. I just tend to tap it out on. I got a pen here. Just going to tap out a little bit. I kind of overdid it right there, but I don't care. We're going to let that roll. And I like it. I'm just going to let this be this messy card that it is. Hello, Kathy. We got some friends that are popping in. So here's the deal. I'm going to bring this in. Well, I'll let that dry a little bit before we put some sequins on it. So I took all of that watercolor, that Distress Watercolor Pencil, and so you can use that as a paint, which is really nice. So I really feel like this, the Distress pencils, if you have them and you haven't tried them or you haven't dug them out like Heidi shared at the beginning, they're a very nice watercolor pencil. That's a really nice amount of color. The payout of color is pretty intense. I would say, like, pigment wise, they're not at that same level as maybe a higher, more expensive brand like the Albrecht Dürers that we've used, the Faber-Castells that we've used. But you can do all of these wonderful techniques. Look, so I've just watered this down a little bit. And we've got that, we've using that Distress pencil, and look at the variation of color that I can get from it. We've talked about this on the channel before. The more water that you add, the more tone down the colors. We can get different values of the color. So this right here is probably more of a whole milk. We've got a whole milk amount of water in here. And then this one right here, I've got more water added. So I've got more of a skim milk version. So I can get, look at all those different ranges of that color. So I've got whole milk. Look, I'm going to try to get us a little bit of skim going here. So if I add a little bit more water to this, but I still have quite a bit of pigment. Right here in that mid, you get a little more of a skim milk look. So look at that range of color, that value range that I can get with that candied apple. So it's a really nice pink red. Then I can get it a little bit more rosy. And then I can get that really, really pale, innocent pink light. Okay, I just totally nerded out on watercolor again, friends. Totally nerd. But let's pull this card back in. Kind of digging the way this looks. It's definitely, so here was our inspiration. This definitely has that washy watercolor holy mess going on, which is fine. I'm going to put a few sequins here. And I just realized I don't have my like little sequin, my tool picker. Oh, thank you, Gloria. I'm going to just pop a few little dots out here. Let's just do a nice little trail. So with this pattern, I went this way, and with my trail of sequins, I'm going that way. And we're just going to free range it here with my fingers because I forgot to bring my picker. Way to go, Lisa. Forgot to bring the picker. Ah, Michelle just said, she just said, I had asked everybody like what their favorite set was in my collection with Gina K. She said, Happy Life. She loves the moons. Oh my gosh, I love that set too. Like I said, every month when a new set comes out, I have like this visceral reaction because I've created them so like 6 months ago or 9 months ago when I originally drew them with the intention that I had at that time. So when they come out, boop, 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 boop. I think I want one up here. When they come out, I get really excited because I get to re-experience the joy that I had when I first created them. So like a little bit of insight. Yesterday, the cards kind of come together. It's a little bit messy, but I like it. I'm digging it. Yesterday, I wrapped up 3 stamp sets for 3 deadlines for Gina K next year. So I was working on either April, May, or June, or May, June, and July, somewhere around there. That's what I was working on. So I wrapped up the illustrations for those 3 sets, and I'm just kind of putting together all the inspiration now and getting them all packaged up so I can turn them in. So super fun. All right. I'm kind of digging the way the card looks. I wasn't sure how it was going to come out because we were doing this live. and I didn't like pre-do it. I didn't pre-test, but I hope you got a little bit more insight into these Distress Watercolor Pencils. I kind of like them. I kind of think they're fun to play with. They're fun to work with. We use a lot of different watercolor mediums on this channel, and the reason why I brought them out today is because I was getting asked to do so. So, you see that? That's a cable. That's a cable and cord. I got a little bit of a cord management issue going on here, friends. The technology things that are happening this summer have been, I'm still working on them. Okay, but all's looking good. Okay, friends. Really fun live. Easing back in. I am expecting to get back on a regular schedule of lives. I've been toying with the Wednesdays and Thursdays. I'd love to get your feedback to see how you're feeling about those dates, and getting back into a routine. Now that most of the tech issues have been resolved, and I don't anticipate on getting interrupted by delivery people that have been coming lately. So, okay. Couple things. I shared that the brand new Gina K release is happening on the 26th. Thank you, Gloria, for reminding me it's not the 22nd, that it is the 26th. It's Tuesday the 26th. Super excited. It's the holiday release. It is amazing. I'm just going to say that. Amazing. Thank you, Kathy. The camera looks good. It does look good. I'm still working on the overhead, but it's getting there. Okay, now I send out an email every week and letting people know for the lives and giving you the link for the lives. So if you're not on my email list, consider it. I also share a lot of freebies there, and that link is down below in the description. Also, coming this October, and I shared this on my last live with you all, I am closing my online art shop. So I have an online store at indigojadeartshop.com, and I have art prints, my artwork, gifts, things I've manufactured, ornaments, like lots of different things that I have sold over the last 7 years through that online shop. I am closing it this October. So if you're on my email list, there's going to be a big honkin' blowout next month when I close the shop for good. So, and I kind of just decided to do that and maybe sell off some of the items that I have. So take a look at the shop, see if there's something that you might want on your holiday list for gifts for friends and family, and get on my email list so you can get that exclusive discount. Okay, friends. Thanks so much for joining me today. It means a great deal to me that you're here, that you take the time, and I hope you got a lot of value out of today's watercolor lesson. I will be back next week. I'm looking at Thursday, friends, because I think that's our ideal day, and I'm sending you into the weekend to craft your joy. Okay, so have a great rest of the week and into the weekend. I hope today's pattern making and watercolor tutorial inspired you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And again, all of the products I used today are linked down below in the description. So thanks so much, friends, for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.